Cinnamon is good for your heart and your blood. Like some people take you can get the empty capsules and put cinnamon in it. Like you know how you take an aspirin? You could put cinnamon in it and take that. Like put cinnamon in an empty capsule and take that like you take an aspirin. You get a headache, it's good for your blood and your heart. Then the turmeric it's good for internal inflammation because sometimes our liver, our kidneys are fatty. Like we've gotten some swelling going on internally. Even like if we have some joints going on that's swollen, turmeric is good for internal inflammation, and that's not even all of it. And then you got the cayenne, that's an automatic appetite suppressant. So with that, it's like you'll notice when you I used to one of the things I used to love was Diet Coke. And I'd almost be like, I can't talk to nobody till I get my Diet Coke. Like if I don't get a Diet Coke, don't talk to me. And it's because your body starts to crave things that it doesn't necessarily need because you're putting things in it that it's not necessarily what's supposed to be there. And so uh, the cayenne kind of regulates your it regulates things in your body. And then turmeric and cayenne activate the strengths of one another. They still work independently, but they operate the strengths of one another. And the ginger is good for your digestion. You got a tummy ache. Y'all know what people used to say: if you got a tummy ache, drink some ginger ale. Well, that's where you do it from because it's ginger. You can make your own. You huh? Robitussin. I'm. You know what? I'm not fooling with you. But no, but it's like so like literally the ginger, and so you can make ginger ale just with ginger and mineral water and don't put the sugar in it. So you make your own ginger ale, but it's good for your digestion. And then the lemons are good for it extracts crap from your kidneys and your liver. And then cucumber is an automatic hydration. So it's like y'all, if you ever go to if you ever seen or have gone yourself to like a salon where folk getting the eyebrows done or whatever, and they got cucumbers in the water, or they got cucumbers on the eyes because it's a hydrant. It rebuilds water. The measurements don't change. Like the measurement of how much you put in doesn't change. So like I think that's about a 32-ounce thing of water. So don't I would not recommend exceeding half a teaspoon of each. If you did 6 ounces, you did 12 ounces of water. If you did whatever, I don't recommend doing a half teaspoon of any of those ingredients. So for me, I just put a half of those. I drink all that. I'm going to probably drink about two more of those before the day's out because it's going to be hot. But just putting those, I wouldn't. Don't change the dosage of the half a teaspoon, no matter indiscriminate of the water. And this organization, Life Juice, we specialize in plant-based food. We just opened up brick and mortar over in St. Paul. We got 3 food trucks. We're all around the city. We do all kinds of juices. We do all kinds of sorbets. We do tacos. We do burritos, and everything is plant based. We have a greenhouse right next to the restaurant. All of our vegetables that supply the stuff that we make come from our greenhouse. We juice everything. There's no concentrate. There's no sugar. Nothing added. We just throw the apple into the juicer. It comes out. We're gonna put it in a bottle. So that's one of the things. And Sammy's one of our visions for Sammy's was not to be another chicken shack. We wanted to give a healthier option. And so that's why we have the homemade sandwiches, the smoothies, and things like that. Are you all plant based? Nah, nah, I ain't there. Nah, I no, I ain't said all that yet. But no, I was a pescatarian, so I only eat sea. I traditionally try to just stick with seafood. So seafood, just all seafood. And when I'm really about my stuff, all seafood, no processed sugars, no processed carbs, and no dairy. And so I don't dairy is my as I get older, dairy is not fooling with me no way. So it don't matter. But yeah, so that pescatarian, I haven't gotten to plant based yet, and I'm not committed to that yet. A lot of people don't realize one of the best fish for you is sardines. Like that's one of the I mean sardines in general. Like sardines in general have a lot of the qualities that they have. You say no? Okay. I'm not talking about I'm talking about the quality of what you eat. I'm talking about like the like the oils that you get from salmon and the things like people think just because it's a cheaper food, sardines are good for you. Like look, hey, bro, hey, I'm not trying to offend you. I'm just trying to win you. Look at, check it out. Like for real, check it out. Like look up the benefits of sardines. It is one of the healthiest. And guess what? And it's $1.19, bruh. It's $1.19. That too. They 3.25. Bottom line is just because, and that's another thing. And I'm just gonna jump to this really quick. Unfortunately, eating better is more expensive, and that's the real. Like you can go. I don't gotta tell y'all nothing. Like you can you for real. Like a thing. I mean, literally, a thing of salmon can cost you like a $9.99 cheap a pound. If I'm getting the same health benefits from eating a thing of sardines versus going to get that thing of salmon, I'm probably gonna holler at them sardines. And so, and I'm not saying, all I'm saying is what people have to understand is that good food, you can go to 50,000 chicken joints down West Broadway if you feel like it. You know what I'm saying? You there, even if you go to a Cub Foods over here in the neighborhood, when you walk in the store, you're gonna be bombarded with soda pop sales. Versus if you go to a store in the suburbs, you're gonna see water sales. I think it's like people really, we have to understand that eating good food for you oftentimes is more expensive for you. So if you can find quality food, i.e. sardines, that's affordable, holler at your girl and don't let me catch your food shelf. So yeah. Okay, so I'll have to say that to Sammy's. Because I don't, if you've ever seen Sammy's, there's a little garden that's about like there's a merge, and there's that so I want to say it's like Emerson and 18th that it's not yet. So it's right behind. There's a little community garden. That's one of the things we really believe in terms of encouraging folks to participate in that, to take the food from there. And in addition to just partnering with different organizations who, because I want to make sure I'm articulating this clear. Even if you're not the source of the like getting dispensing those things, you can partner with people and support what they do. And so like Appetite for Change, different organizations in the neighborhood. There's even Youth Farm was one of our folks at one time. So just, I think I'm answering the question is, even though we might not directly disseminate or give out things like that, we do support other organizations that do that. What we're doing currently right now is actually the food that we're harvesting in our greenhouse is disseminated to the community, like just giving it out to the community. Perfect. Because our greenhouse is fairly new anyway. Perfect. Like if you look on the back of some of your food products, if you don't know what it say, what are you eating? And truthfully, truth be told, the majority of the food that we eat should not have like more than 4 or 5 ingredients in it. Like, and so you eating something with like spanactitol, like galaxy or juice or whatever. It's like, what am I eating? And so I know for it's going to be imperative that we grow our own food, just with the cost of price, just with the prices of things. It's been imperative. And then when you think about the fast food organizations, like I'm sorry, there's just stuff that ain't food. And some things don't, one of the things that I struggle with, because as I said, I taught for 17 years, but in the last 5, I was in 7th and 8th grade. One of the things too is our we don't know serving sizes. So like, our kids think that eating a bag of Takis is the norm. No, a bag of Takis should, I mean, there's serving sizes for a bag of Takis. One of the things I used to have to do is take out a Ziploc bag and actually put a certain amount in the Ziploc bag to show them a bag of Takis is not supposed to be for one setting. And so, and then unfortunately too, when you start to look at those long-term effects, I don't want to say this, but if we don't curb this, our children in this generation between the ages of 12 and like 17 are going to suffer from gastrointestinal issues in their 30s and their 40s, just because of the chemicals and the things that are in all these hot. Y'all see all these hot? They got hot everything. And if you can't read, I mean, it's really, like I said, it's imperative to read what that is and to know what it is. In addition to that, what is the one common food that everybody can get if it's tight on your bread? Noodles. Period. Ramen noodles. Do you know how many grams of sodium is in one package of ramen? What'd you say? Period. And so, and not to mention that those noodles aren't, I don't know what kind of noodles those is, but they ain't the noodles that's noodles. So I'm not knocking that. I'm not knocking it because it's a reality that it feeds people. It's reality, but at what cost? And so to answer your question, yeah, we need to start growing stuff. It's come to when we don't have a choice. And so from what I understand is that ain't nobody getting turned away like that. It ain't like no click. It's like if you like, we got a garden, off in Glenwood area, and like whoever show up to prune the garden, whoever show up to tend the food, you can come and harvest the garden. If you come and don't nobody know where you live, you don't live in a house, we don't care. And then and even the one behind Sammy's, if you see some green, you see some strawberries, you want them, come take them. Like but there's other places that they have like giveaways and times they give away. Sister Lavon does stuff. She has a farm on every Friday. So I don't, the people that I associate with and the people, the work that we do together, ain't nobody got no like stake in it. You want to eat green, you want to eat fresh. Our dear sister Kenya McKnight, her building is right up there on West Broadway next to the church on across the street from Shiloh. Yep. Her building is Zara. She has a shed in the back where you could just come in anytime and get vegetable, whatever's up in there, go in there and get it. And ain't nobody checking you in. Don't nobody care. If you open there, if you see some greens, take them. So like, I don't, because it's got to eat to live, Jack. You're welcome.
Okay, so as far as number one, I can speak to working at Dorothy Day. We got approached by Second Harvest Heartland. And, they're tied into USDA. So they were like, we can do a food shelf. Like, technically, you can't do a food shelf unless it's accessible for a regional designation, right? So if you're in a particular zip code, you're operating your food shelf for the people that live in that zip code, right? They can bring a piece of mail or whatever to prove that they live in that location. There's some food shelves where it doesn't have that, but most of the time it's designated to like your regional location. But because of we was at Dorothy Day, we were downtown St. Paul, where the presence of homelessness is like for real, they allowed us to operate our own food shelf strictly for the residents of our buildings. So we were able to partner with Second Harvest Heartland, and once a week they would bring fresh fruit, vegetables, grains, junk food, whatever you get at a food shelf, right? They're trying to get rid of stuff off of the shelves so they can make. That's why I started learning, like, okay, so they need to like make room for what's on their shelves. You know what I mean? So the food they had to get rid of that they were giving us, we were doing them a favor because we were providing that food to the people who needed it, and then they could restock. You know what I mean? So we started doing that. We opened one building, and then we had funding. We opened a second building. So then we did the food shelf in both buildings, and we rotated. So every other week, there was a on-site food shelf where people can come access food. One of the problems is like, including myself and my household, we might show up and we might be clamoring for food. I don't want to stand in line. I got to go to work. You know what I mean? Like, I got more needs than this person in front of me. So we had to come up with a whole numbering system and rotating and making it equitable. So people in 1 week had first access based on their unit number, and basically how it worked out is everybody had first chance access to the food once a month. So second time that the food shelf was being operated, you might not be first in line, but everybody got a chance one time a month. That's my experience, and professionally and personally. I think another really big deal is the supplemental nutrition assistance program, that they're already kind of threatening to whatever they're trying to do with it. But it's important that people have access to food. Um, for me, in my experience, food access is important. And we were operating it, and they were saying, because this area is so lacking in need, we're not opening up to the greater community. There's other food shelves in St. Paul, in downtown St. Paul, and in that area. This is what you guys are doing is specific to the people who live here because there's such a high
What
need.
about the people who live across the street and around the corner in that same area?
They came. We didn't turn people away,
Okay,
but they kind of had to be associated with residents. Like,
gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. You know the game, you know. But yeah, we wasn't.
Yeah, they definitely outside talking to the neighbors in the morning.
But we also had. This is where saviorism comes in.
I'm listening.
And people would show up with box plates, church communities, and they'd make 100 meals, and then they show up on that block because the presence of homelessness was there.
Right.
And we got my coworkers that was there, the security. They was like, "We don't need any more food. We're feeding them. The Opportunity Center is feeding 3 meals a day. It's not the greatest food. I wouldn't eat it. You know what I mean? But there was a lot of waste. And there's in downtown St. Paul, there's a lot of mice and rats, and they're hooked up in the sewer system.
Yeah.
And people didn't understand that. They just wanted to. When you see somebody sleeping on the street, you're thinking, I'm just going to give them something to eat.
Yeah.
I don't give them money because they're going to spend the money on drugs.
Right.
So I'm going to give them something to eat. They don't need nothing to eat. Get them some socks. They need some socks. You know, there's other things, there's other ways. But again, we're not, as a society, we don't really fully understand how do we solve homelessness. You know, but yeah, to your question, the greater community ate. They was fed.
Okay.
I think you raised an excellent point. I don't have an answer for it, but except just saying, systematically, we have been removed from, indigenous people have been removed from the land and the resources, and they get to say, that was my experience. Like, we couldn't have a food bus, right? And then Second Harvest finally said, oh, you know, somebody who had the authority and within the organization I worked for, oh, it's okay, you guys can do this now. We had to wait. We're still waiting for permission. So my thing is, I don't have an answer to what you posed, but I think we need to get away from, we need to figure out a way where we don't have to keep asking for permission just to do normal stuff. You know what I mean? It's crazy that hemp, you know, they had this whole marijuana thing. It was illegal. You can't, and now it's all of a sudden it's legal. But who made it legal? So who gets to make those type of decisions? activism just in general, right? Like a lot of people, including myself, we're not fully aware of our power to use our voice in various ways. We don't just have to march on the street. There's other ways of activism. That's a good way. We did that in 2020. You know what I mean? But I think to your question is activism at the legislature. I've seen that transform things. I've seen the people that live at Dorothy Day go from just being a homeless person on the street that people are driving by back and forth coming in to work, and they're just seeing that same person. You see the people, they got their cardboard signs on a hardcore grind. You know what I mean? Getting those people to recognize, helping them recognize that you're a constituent. Let's bring in, one of the biggest events is Homeless Day on the Hill. Let's get you down and go talk to 55102. That's your area code, whether you're homeless or you're housed.
Yeah.
You live there. So you have voting power. Show your face to that senator and that Congress, that representative. Have a conversation with them. Talk to them about your experience, and that can influence policy. And I've seen it influence policy. I think it goes to one person at a time, right? Like for me, in my opinion, I had to go and talk to my Congress person and find out, because some of them, they don't got time to meet, because I'm not a lobbyist. You know what I mean? I don't have money. So some of them, they don't even want to hear what I got to say. But others, they got an open door policy. So just even figuring that out and then being able to tell my brother or sister who lives in that area, yeah, we rock with this person. You know what I mean? So I think it's going to be like meal pieces, if that makes sense. Like a little bit at a time. That's ground roots activism.
Yeah.
He's the master of that. That's all I'm going to say. Because he's connected with marginalized people and marginalized communities who are organizing around producing food around the state. One of them is my cousin. He rocks with my cousin more than I rock with my cousin like that. But he's got a farm to table in North Minnesota. You know what I mean? So I think just tapping in to what's working, who's already doing what's working, prioritizing our time, our resources, and not just being like, I'm just going to run up here to Aldi's. And then guess what? They shut down Aldi's. I'm going to run up here to Cub. Oh, all the shelves are empty. At some point, we're going to need to be trying to figure out who, and this is already happening. Like, you can go buy a cow, right? You can go, there's ways that you can go and purchase food in an alternative ways than what we're used to doing. And that's myself included. But yeah, y'all stay plugged in with him, because he's going to be able to let you, even all the way from Australia, but he's a Southsider too. Yeah. So thank you for the question. Yeah, thank y'all.
So one of the ways that I feel like Propel is just helping the sector is we are trying to deploy assets to nonprofits, I want to say like real way. And what I mean by that is like a practical way. It's not through like a credit score or something like that. When we do a loan, we're a loaning institution. When we do a loan, we don't just say, all right, you've got $1,000 in the bank, so we can loan you $800. We look at your whole finance and we say, okay, this is where you are, and let's figure out how you got here. That's all right. And then let's literally chat about your leadership team. All right, this is a really solid leadership team that may need some training in this area. All right, but they're really committed to this project. And then we look at, well, what would happen if this organization just went away? Like, that's crazy. We can't let that happen. So from time to time, we'll enter into a relationship. Propel will enter into a relationship with organizations, and we'll extend a loan. But that loan is it can never be too burdensome, right? Like it's, and my goal, my personal goal when I'm in that process is to help the organization, and then the people, the leaders who are part of that organization, build up the framework where credit and this sort of like this rule of like, oh, we're going to spend other people's money. That's what rich people do. Rich people don't spend their own money. Rich people spend other people's money. That's how they get rich. They accrue assets. They bring on debt to bring on more assets. They don't care about cash. They want assets so that they can get more debt, so that they can pay for more stuff. And it's the complete opposite of how I was raised. You're not supposed to have any debt. You're supposed to pay cash for everything. Absolutely not. So I think that's one of the things. That's one of the things I do, and I know a lot of other people at Propel are trying to do, is make these spaces where people can actually operate with capital in and navigate these kind of like the reality, the actual practical reality of how money works, how equity really works, the rules that operate at that level. I literally don't know this, but I want to point at some of the things that we heard today. So Douglas was talking about how they knew the restriction with the zip code, and they just started it anyway.
Yeah.
They just did it because people need food.
Right.
So then, I don't know. I wasn't in that room. Maybe you can speak more on this, but was someone put in a position where they had to say, oh, we don't want people to have food? Like we would rather support this arbitrary zip code law, and as opposed to like folks being guaranteed this whole organization having the amount of food that they need. I don't know. I know it would have also helped. I don't know this. I wasn't in the room, but I know, if this is Catholic Charities, this is a big deal. So I'm willing to bet that they started this. We can ask, but I'm willing to bet they did it without, what is it? What is that phrase? Ask permission, or what is it? Do it and then ask permission later. I always mess this one up. So I'm willing to bet they did it, and they did it really well. But then the second part of that, I'm willing to bet this is what happened. I'm thinking of a couple people, the leaders there, who were just like, nope, and who were ready for the pushback. They were ready. They didn't just get a subpoena and then suddenly, or a summons, or like a cease and desist or whatever. Like they were ready for that. So I don't know if that's the case, but I think that happens from time to time. So that's one strategy. And I need help with this. This is where my head is, because I don't want to live in hopelessness. Me neither, but I feel like that every day. So this is where my brain is. This is where my heart is going. And I'm trying to like really get some purchase in this space. And that is around the cauldron. I know this sounds weird. Listen. So like I'm picturing like women throughout time, right? So like forever and whatever. Maybe they didn't have like the best situation. Like picture 1600s. They can't work, whatever. They get beat by their husbands. The church thinks they're all going to hell. Their original sin, I don't know, whatever. But or like they're on the plantation and we don't really know what to do, but we can get around the cauldron. We can get around where we make food together. And they got this person up here in the big house, they got this person over here in the church, whatever. But from time to time, we get these little spaces of defiance. And I'm picturing, when I think of this, it's a cauldron. It's where the food is. It's where we are able to nourish each other. So I don't know how to do that exactly, but I want to support it. And I think we kind of innately know how to do that. It's Propel would offer a loan, would explore a loan with any other nonprofit. So it have to be a nonprofit. It have to be an established 501c3. And then, but what I really want to do is two things that you can do, and I want to invite you to do, is build out, it's called a value proposition. Like, what is the value proposition of this this of the plot. Why is that adding to something? And it's gross that you have to do that. It's really unfair. It's really gross. But here's the thing. One is that's what we're supposed to do. So like we do technical assistance. We do financial technical assistance. So if you called us, like we would mark out time to build out that value proposition. That's what in addition to lending, we're supposed to be a financial resource for the community. So in addition to lending, that's what we do. We talk about. And then the second thing is everyone in this room. I will Wayne. Yeah. Everyone in this room qualifies to attend any of our trainings. We have. I'll give my card. I'll leave my card, and we have a bunch of free training, and we have a bunch of really low-cost training. And if you want to chat about that, I'm happy to squeeze you in somewhere. But we do training on finance. And you also just end up meeting. You sit in a room where you connect with other leaders in the space. And our training is intended for people that are getting the work done but haven't had an accounting class. Like, we're not training accountants. We're providing the answers to the test for people that are too busy working and changing lives, saving babies, whatever else we do. So it's an issue because someone wants you to pay them for that garden. They want you to pay them for the garden that they've already grown.
Even if it's on property that we pay taxes for?
There's a different set of rules and accountability when you have equity. You have,
and I would say
because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't help anyone, right?
No.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying there has to be some. This is not a revolutionary statement. This is a economic statement. This is what's the word? Arithmetic. This is just arithmetic. We've borrowed so much from so many for so long. It's eventually like we've asked people to have less and less and less and less.
We're tired of knocking on that door.
And it's not. So at some point, like, is the dollar going to be worth as much as the dollar's going to be worth?
No.
Is the doctorate that you're working on, like, is that going to be worth? So, but what will be worth something is the garden that you started, less than.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, because it just seems like even going to McDonald's, that's like $60.
But then
more.
I do want to just support what you're saying. I think in addition to this pushback is being ready for that other pushback. Because I know that those guys they did not just get a phone call from a state senator saying, "Hey, we're from the county. How come you're feeding? You have your own food shelf?" Like, they were ready for that. So I think that's a really important part of all of this change, being ready for this institutional numbing. They're like, no, get back in line. Like,
Not happening.
Yeah, it's like a control and oppression. They're just trying to keep it.
It's a lot like that, yeah. It's a lot like that.
Wait, get back.
No.
Not happening.
So,
I just want to say this in response. I wrote this out when before this I got a really cool tour of the garden out here, and I was thinking about when I made a change in my life, the way that people told me that I was going to get better, or I was going to, it was like, you got to pay your bills, you got to fix your credit, you got to get insurance, like get my tooth fixed and all this other stuff. You got to go to school in order to show that you know something. Then you got to make money. And I'm thinking about someone here who might want to try to change their life, and they're connecting with something bigger than themselves. And this notion, there's a different narrative, I feel like, in just having food near you, and that is like it's not about paying your bills. You gotta feed you don't pay your bills. You gotta feed yourself. You have to take care of your body, right? You gotta it's not about your credit. It's about who do you owe,
You got to know who you owe and who owes you. That's who you're in a relationship with. What do I owe my mom? What do I owe my friends? What do I owe my landlord? Like, what do I owe people? Because I know who they are. And then, like, it's not about like getting a piece of paper that can show I know something. It's people who are actually working on those all in the food out there. That is a knowledge that is ancient. It's in our blood. It's our birthright. And yeah, that the idea of healing through that over like, oh, well, just get a better credit score and save a couple dollars and start brushing your teeth. Like that's not. Go to the doctor more. Well, that's not going to help you. But like eating food that's right for your body, that's going to help you. Sharing that food with people who who want to love you, that's gonna do more for you than everyone else. Well, I will tell you this: that the African American Health State Advisory Committee or Council is exploring right now. They're not talking about like diabetes. They're not saying go to the doctor more. What they're working on is handing out like dandelions, like people to make tea, for people to make that are good for digestion. It's good for regulating blood pressure. Handing out like seeds for people to actually grow. So it's a real statement about like physical health, like our physical health. Like, this isn't about just going to the doctor regularly. It's about a relationship with what we can create and who we create it with.